Hey guys, hope you enjoy this interview with St. Peter
Please state your
Claver.
first and last name for the camera.
Sure. I'm Connor Lesh.
All right. So, we'll kind of tell people just a little bit about how you got into the Catholic Worker House or Catholic Worker Movement.
So I grew up visiting some of the Catholic workers in West Virginia with my dad, and then kind of forgot about the worker for a while. And then in college, or no, in high school, I then needed some volunteer hours, and I volunteered at Our Lady of the Road, the drop-in center that our worker runs.
Hmm.
And then I forgot about the worker for a while. Um, and then in college, I spent a summer living here at the worker. And after I graduated in the middle of the pandemic, um, they heard that I didn't have any plans, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to move in?" And I said, "Sure." And I haven't moved out yet.
So, will you kind of tell people some of the things that these two houses do specifically and some of the community outreach that you guys
Sure. So we
are
have
involved in?
um, a men's house and a women's house of hospitality across the street from each other. Then we also run Our Lady of the Road, which is a drop-in center that offers free breakfast, laundry, showers, a clothes closet, and pantry to about 100 to 120 folks 3 mornings a week. Uh, so that's sort of the majority of our outreach. Currently at our houses, I think we've got about 7 guests staying with us. Um, we've also um, done some other things in the past that we're not currently doing. During the pandemic, we got some emergency rental assistance funds, and then we're using those to um, help folks that were falling behind on rent, um, and helping people with applications for that as well. So those that grant money is now dried up.
And so, you did cover I'm sorry, what did you say the kitchen?
Our Lady of the Road.
Our Lady of the Road. So I know you kind of went over that, but I was there today and it was super
Mhm.
cool. So will you kind of go into a little more detail of how all of that works?
So Our Lady of the Road was started because we were offering a lot of those services out of the houses here, and it grew to the point where we needed another location. Um, and so Our Lady of the Road was bought, um, and we kind of looked at the landscape of other service providers in town as well. And uh, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning breakfasts weren't covered by any other agencies in town. Currently, there's other agencies that cover lunch and dinner every day and breakfast Monday through Thursday. But
Mm.
the Friday, Saturday, Sunday breakfast was a gap that needed to be filled. So Our Lady of the Road offers breakfast then, and anybody can come in to do laundry, take a shower, or visit the clothes closet and pantry while they're there. Um, we usually have one or two of our Catholic worker staff helping run the shift, as along with some other full-time and part-time staff at Our Lady of the Road. Um, and we have a lot of volunteer groups that come by through different parishes in the area or student groups from some of the different colleges in town.
Mhm.
Does that answer your question?
It does. It does. So what are kind of some of the struggles of um, either being in a Catholic worker house or the functions of the Catholic worker house?
Are you asking sort of more generally what somebody might encounter or more personally?
Personally.
Um, I think the first lesson anybody has to learn uh, in their first year in a Catholic worker house is how to say no.
Mm.
Um, that there will be a lot of asks all of the time. And if you don't learn how to say no, you're going to burn out pretty quickly.
Mm.
Um, and learning, I think, when and how to say no, and also that it's okay to say that um, you can't do something is a really important lesson to learn if you're going to stick around a Catholic worker house for a while.
Mm.
Um, I think you also have to be pretty, you have to learn how to be comfortable with getting uncomfortable, or if you're not willing to learn around a Catholic worker house, I also don't think that you'll last too long. Um, there's a lot of different skills that you might not expect, from basic things around care work for people, or maintaining older homes like most Catholic workers have, um, to learning how to cook for a large meal for a lot of people in a short amount of time with whatever leftovers we have around. I think, and people don't anticipate. I think people might come in expecting to do a lot of the works of mercy, um, and might anticipate some of the more like interpersonal struggles that go on, or some of the more obvious things that you might encounter when dealing with chronic homelessness. But I don't think I had a full picture of like the range of skills that are expected around a Catholic worker house. And not that everybody needs to know everything, but it's really great when you have a staff that whose skills complement one another, and all those sort of gaps are filled.
Hmm. And I know that a large part of the Catholic Worker House is doing potentially different demonstrations or protests. Um, I know it's not super common for everybody to be doing everything at once, but overall, would you say a lot of you guys go to specific protests or demonstrations?
Um, I think a lot of us have attended them. We have not played a large role in organizing
Mm,
anything in a number of years. Um, we've been pretty tapped at capacity for what our staff can take on at the moment with the two houses that we've been running, some lower staff numbers, and uh, sort of the lingering effects of the pandemic on poverty and homelessness in our area. So, demonstrating and political organizing has not been our number one priority, but we did try to support the students on Notre Dame's campus when they were arrested for um, protesting for Palestine, and we've attended some other rallies and demonstrations in the area.
mm. And I know that Peter Morin and Dorothy Day did not exactly set a straight arrow as far as how to run a Catholic worker house. But how would you say that your houses in particular kind of follow the the words or the suggestions, I suppose, of Dorothy Day and Peter Morin?
Are you asking more about like the charisms of our house, or like the organizational structure of our house?
More like the Karamisms.
Charisms.
Charisms.
I think that we are definitely um, hmm, we've talked a lot about um, sort of the larger picture of Dorothy Day and Peter Martin's vision. I don't know that we've ever like sat down as a community while I've been here to identify like the specific um, charisms or principles in their writings that we most exemplify. Um, I think we're definitely fall pretty easily into the category of a house of hospitality, um, dealing with folks that are on the street. But Dorothy Day also talks frequently in her writings about the Catholic worker movement as a school
Mm,
that people come into and leave. And it's not necessarily for everybody for life, but People come here and they learn about the values of the Catholic worker, and they have encounters with people that they might not have otherwise, and then they carry that with them um, in whichever direction the rest of their life takes them. And I think we have a lot of college volunteers that come through here, um, both through the houses and through Our Lady of the Road. Um, Definitely hundreds of students each year that come through, and we try to propagandize them the best we can. Um, and I don't think that the Catholic worker movement as a school is brought up too often in Catholic worker circles. At least I haven't heard it that way. We don't do too many roundtables um, or clarifications of thought, um, but I think we are pretty good at engaging folks when they come to us and uh, having sort of spontaneous conversations and encouraging a lot of our volunteers to um, get uncomfortable or just sit down with our guests, that they don't need to be washing dishes the whole time, but we try to like actively encourage them to sit down with our guests and spend time talking with them. And I think we really hold that. That can say more than we ever could to a lot of folks and teach more than we could. Yeah.
Hmm. And just because I'm curious and I've never heard it before, how would you say that the structure is kind of Dorothy Day and Peter Marin?
So I guess what I was getting at by that question is that a lot of different communities structure themselves in various ways, whether it's sort of centered around a particular individual who sort of like holds the community um, like traditions and knowledge. Um, and some other communities are structured around like a couple or a family or like volunteers who don't necessarily live in the houses but on the same street. Um, uh, the book The Catholic Work After Dorothy, I think, has a pretty good overview of like the different structures the different houses have adopted.
Hmm.
And a lot of that, the question when structuring a worker is often like centered around acknowledging that there's a lot of coming and going around any Catholic worker movement, Catholic worker house. Um, but then also there needs to be some way to maintain some sort of stability amidst that um, flux. And so, who's going to like hold that torch, whether that be a particular individual or a larger group, or there are other ways of doing that, whether that be like keeping community records and documents. Uh, and I find those sort of questions interesting when I visit other Catholic workers.
Hmm. I think you may have just added a new question to the interview list.
Yeah, and so like along with that is how do communities make decisions together?
Hmm.
Do they have meetings and do they make decisions based on a consensus model? Do they um, have a democratic model where they vote? Or are there distinctions between like how much weight people get in a consensus model or who gets to vote? Um, I think those questions are interesting to me when I
Hmm.
visit other communities.
And so I know that there's a lot of different Catholic worker houses have different views on this. So would you say that you could ever foresee whether it be Our Lady of the Road or either of these hospitality houses ever taking governmental funding or becoming a nonprofit?
So Our Lady of the Road is currently a nonprofit.
Okay.
Um, Right now, Our Lady of the Road is registered as a 501c3 nonprofit.
Hmm.
Um, our Houses of Hospitality are a 501c4, which is a designation for religious organizations and some political organizations as well. Um, However, we are uh, we're not a nonprofit. Donations to us are not tax deductible here at the
Hmm.
Catholic Worker. So I think that's a question that a lot of different Catholic workers um, wrestle with regularly. Right now, our community is kind of splitting the difference between the two. When we have taken governmental funding, it has most often been uh, through Our Lady of the Road, um, and those decisions have been made by the director there as well as the board of Our Lady of the Road. It has a board since it's a nonprofit,
Hmm.
um, and I wasn't part of those decisions, but I think that they were made um, well. Like I gave the example earlier of the emergency rental assistance grant
Hmm.
that we ran out of there. Um, there was a large tent city forming in South Bend during the pandemic.
Hmm.
People were in close quarters with no ability to isolate at all if somebody was sick.
Hmm.
Um, and our city has also lost affordable housing units in the past few years, rather than even gaining or maintaining them. Uh, Two of the largest affordable housing complexes in South Bend had to close because the um, director of our local housing authority was embezzling money. And so that grant that we ran through Our Lady of the Road, I helped as a case manager with
Oh.
that, helping people apply and then reviewing applications and calling landlords and tenants, like help people stay housed through the pandemic, um, which I think was valuable. Um, in terms of our houses of hospitality through the Catholic Worker, it has been brought up in conversation over the past year, um, whether we would consider becoming a nonprofit instead of our current designation. Um, and the major impetus for that conversation was rising property taxes in our
Hmm.
area, becoming a financial burden on the community. And at least our answer at that time was that we would, not right now, but it's a conversation that I think we'll keep returning to. Um, and the answer may keep being no, not right now, but I think it's a question that we're trying to answer intentionally. We have um, taken some smaller uh, city grants for specific projects. Like you may have noticed in our backyard here, there's a pavilion
Oh.
with solar panels on it that helps offset some of our electricity costs for the house. Those solar panels were donated, but then we applied for a city grant to cover some of the installation fees as well as building the pavilion that the solar panels are now on.
Hmm.
Um, and then we have also applied for a city grant to replace one of the furnaces at the men's house with a heat pump instead. It would be
Hmm.
more efficient, but then also would provide AC, which would be a big quality of life improvement for our guests, a couple of whom are particularly heat sensitive.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that answers your question about sort of our stance with governmental funding.
Yeah.
We haven't taken at the worker houses. We have not used any sort of government funding for operational expenses.
Hmm.
We have for some like facilities upgrades.
Okay. Hmm. And how would you say that Our Lady of the Road and these two houses kind of follow the path of Jesus and his teachings?
Um, I'm actually not Catholic, so I may not, and I don't consider myself a Christian either, so I may not be the best one to answer your question. Um, some other people in our houses may have um, a better answer to that than I might.
Okay. Um, well then now it's time for the segment of the show that I call fun questions.
Okay.
They're kind of unserious, just funner, more personal questions. So like, what's your favorite food?
Um, favorite dessert is strawberry rhubarb pie
Okay,
and vanilla ice cream.
respect.
Um, favorite comfort food is probably Filipino adobo
Mm,
and rice.
okay. And if you have one, what would like your favorite car be?
Favorite car?
Yeah, dream car.
Um, I don't know that I have one. All the cars that I've ever had have been cheap enough that I can afford them, and ones that I can do a lot of the maintenance on myself.
Hmm. If you had a favorite food to cook, what would that be?
Um, chicken adobo.
Hmm.
Again, it's easy. Um, I can throw stuff in a pot and leave it sit until dinner's ready, um, and get it. I can start cooking whenever I have the time or I'm ready in the day, and it can just simmer on the stove until dinner time.
Hmm. It's fair.
Basically, all of the ingredients too are shelf stable. Besides the protein you choose,
Hmm.
whether that's pork or chicken or tofu, um, which also makes it easy if I'm not feeling particularly creative with the leftovers or other stuff we have.
So then it's a double night.
Yep, exactly.
Kind of getting back into the main interview. Why do you personally enjoy the Catholic Worker?
Um, I don't know that I have one particular answer to that
Oh,
question.
most people do not.
Um, I think I've definitely found sort of found family within
Hmm.
the Catholic worker movement. Um, I think the worker movement has also been um, a place where I've um, been able to find a um, shared political commitment with others who take that seriously, um, and also living in community for all its challenges has been a good learning experience and often, though not always, a source of joy for me while I've been here.
Hmm. And if you kind of had one message to give to the world, what would that be?
I don't think I have one. Um, I'm not, yeah, I don't think I'm often the most uh, didactic one. Or let me rephrase that. I don't think I have a message to boil down. I think a lot of our focus here has been pretty local and based in situations and circumstances um, that don't apply everywhere. And um, I think if someone's interested in the worker movement, they should first find the worker that's closest to them, or ones where they have relational connections first, um, and try to focus on what you can actually accomplish with people that you actually have relationships with. Um, I guess going back to your last question of what has like sort of kept me here at the workers, that I'm also from South Bend. I went to school here. I'm still here, and um, yeah, I think I have a commitment to this place. And I think one aspect of Dorothy's writings that's not often uh, brought up either in its influence on the Catholic worker movement is the fact that she was a Benedictine oblate. Um, and and Benedictines take a vow of stabilitas locis, which is basically just means stability of place and commitment to a particular place. And I think I keep returning to that and thinking about my time here. That for me, it is more than just like a commitment to our particular worker houses, but also to the place where I grew up, and the ties and roots that I have here. So I don't think I have a larger message for the world, really, other than focus on the roots and ties that you already have, and make things less shit wherever you are.
And do you have any other information that you feel would be valuable for people to know about either these two houses, Our Lady of the Road, or the Catholic worker movement in general?
Nothing comes to mind right now.
Well, thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed this interview. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. If you enjoy these type of videos and want to keep seeing more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share copy link. Send it to all your friends. Have a blessed day.